All right, let's talk about one of the most popular and honestly most controversial personal finance books ever written, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book pretty much takes all the classic advice we've ever heard, go to school, get good grades, find a safe job, and it calls that a trap. So let's find out exactly why. Let me ask you something. Does this feel familiar? You get your paycheck, you pay all your bills, and somehow at the end of the month, there's just nothing left. You're working harder, maybe you even got a raise, but that financial pressure, it just never goes away. If that's hitting a little too close to home, you are definitely not alone. This is the exact problem that Robert Kiyosaki is talking about. And he has a name for this cycle, the rat race. It's that endless loop, right? Get up, go to work, pay bills, and then do it all over again the next day. He says it's a life that's run by two really powerful emotions, the fear of being broke, which keeps you showing up to work, and the desire for all the nice things money can buy, which keeps you spending. It's a trap, and this book claims to have the escape plan. Now, the book's entire lesson is told through the story of two very different father figures. The first is Kiyosaki's actual dad, a highly educated man who struggled with money his whole life. He's the poor dad. The second is his best friend's father, a guy who dropped out in 8th grade but became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. And that, you guessed it, is the rich dad. And their mindsets about money, they were complete opposites. Poor dad would always say, the love of money is the root of all evil. But rich dad believed the lack of money was the root of all evil. One of them preached about job security, while the other preached about financial freedom. And here's a big one. When faced with something they wanted, poor dad's default response was, I can't afford it. That's a statement, and it shuts your brain down. Rich dad, on the other hand, would ask a question. How can I afford it? A question like that forces your brain to start looking for answers. So how do you actually get money to start working for you? Well, Rich Dad's entire philosophy really comes down to one simple game-changing rule. This is the absolute foundation for how he built his wealth. And here it is. Rule number 1. You must know the difference between an asset and a liability, and then spend your life buying assets. Now, I know that sounds almost insultingly simple, but Kiyosaki argues that this one distinction is the single biggest reason people either struggle financially or find freedom. Most people struggle because they constantly confuse them. Use the forget all the complicated accounting stuff. Rich Dad's definitions are incredibly practical. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. That's the entire test. Just picture the way the money flows. An asset, say a rental property that pays you every month, or stocks that give you dividends, that generates income. The money is literally flowing from your asset column over to your income column. This is how you start to build a self-sustaining engine for wealth. And, of course, here's the other side of that coin, a liability. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Just as simple and just as crucial to understand. You can see the cash flow for a liability is the exact opposite. Things like car payments, credit card debt, even the mortgage on your house. They take money from your income and push it right out the door as an expense. They're a constant drain on your resources. This brings us to the most important difference of all. Rich people acquire assets, that's their focus. The poor and middle class, on the other hand, spend their lives acquiring liabilities that they think are assets. And the number one offender, according to Kiyosaki, is a bit of a doozy here. The book drops a huge bombshell right here, and a lot of people have trouble with this one. Your primary residence, the house you live in, is not an asset. It's a liability. Why? Well, does it put money in your pocket? No. Every single month, it takes money out of your pocket for the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, the repairs. It's a pretty provocative idea, but it's meant to force you to rethink everything you've been taught. If you are finding this video helpful, please make sure to hit that like button and share it with someone who this might help and be a benefit to their financial decision-makings. Your support means a lot to me and helps the channel grow, allowing the YouTube algorithm to show this content to a bigger crowd. More people can benefit from these ideas and hopefully improve their financial well-being. Okay, this leads us right into the third big lesson from Rich Dad. Once you really get the whole asset thing, the next step is to shift your focus. It's time to mind your own business. And this is a really critical distinction to make. Most of us mix up our profession with our business. Your profession, that's your job. It's what you do to pay the bills. But your business, that's your asset column. So minding your own business really just means you're actively building that asset column, creating streams of income that are totally separate from your 9 to 5. And that really is the fundamental difference in where people put their focus. Most people spend their lives looking at their income statement. They're trying to get a raise or maybe a promotion. The rich, however, they're focused on their balance sheet. They're trying to build that asset column. One of those strategies keeps you running in the rat race. The other one is the path to escaping it. So what does this business actually look like? It doesn't mean you have to go start a huge company. It's about acquiring real assets. Think about businesses that don't need you there day to day. Stocks, bonds, real estate that generates income. What's the common thread here? All of these things can make you money while you sleep. And that is what having your money work for you is all about. So we've covered the mindset shift. We've got the #1 rule about assets. And we know we need to focus on minding our own business. Now let's pull all of this together into a clear, simple blueprint for financial freedom. Here it is, your whiteboard summary. Step 1 is to boost your financial IQ. Your mind is your greatest asset, so you have to invest in it. Step 2, drill the difference between an asset and a liability into your brain until you live and breathe it. And step 3, keep your day job for now, but use your free time and any extra cash to mind your own business, which means buying assets. The goal? The finish line is to build your assets column to the point where the income it generates covers all of your expenses. That is the definition of financial freedom. Ultimately, the book's most powerful message is really about personal responsibility. It argues that your financial future isn't decided by your boss or your degree or what the economy is doing. No, it's determined by the little choices you make every single day with every single dollar that comes into your hands. And that brings us to the final and probably the most important question. This isn't just theory. This has to be about taking action. So after hearing all these ideas, what is the very first income-generating asset that you are going to focus on acquiring? The journey out of the rat race, it really begins with that one single decision. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching. I'm Finance Puppy, and here's to a better financial tomorrow. Cheers!